Have you ever wondered what it would be like to disappear so completely that, even after your death, nobody could prove who you were? No family came forward. No friends reported you missing. No employer looked for you. No passport could identify you. No fingerprints matched any known records. It sounds like the beginning of a spy novel. But this actually happened. On a warm evening in late May 1995, a woman walked into one of Norway's most luxurious hotels as if she belonged there. She was calm, well-dressed, and carried herself with quiet confidence. Nothing about her appearance suggested panic or fear. She looked like an ordinary business traveler arriving after a long journey. The receptionist greeted her. She filled out a registration card. She signed a name: Jennifer Fairgate. She also wrote down another guest who was supposedly traveling with her, a man named Fairgate. Then she provided an address in Belgium, a phone number. Everything appeared perfectly normal. Except almost none of it was true. The address didn't exist. The phone number led nowhere. No official records connected anyone named Jennifer Fairgate to that identity. And strangely, nobody ever saw the mysterious second guest. Not once. That evening, the woman received the key to room 2805, a room high inside Oslo Plaza Hotel, overlooking the Norwegian capital. Few people inside the hotel realized they had just checked in someone who would become one of Europe's greatest unsolved mysteries. Because 3 days later, she would be dead. And more than 30 years later, nobody can say with certainty who she really was. To understand why investigators still struggle with this case today, we need to go back to Oslo in the spring of 1995. Norway was considered one of the safest countries in Europe. Violent crime was relatively rare. Oslo Plaza Hotel represented luxury, prestige, and international business. Diplomats, executives, airline crews, politicians, and wealthy travelers regularly stayed there. It wasn't unusual for foreign guests to arrive every hour of the day. That is exactly why Jennifer attracted almost no attention. She blended in perfectly. She wasn't carrying oversized luggage. She wasn't acting nervous. She wasn't avoiding eye contact. If anything, hotel employees later described her as polite, quiet, and completely ordinary. Sometimes the most dangerous mysteries begin with people who look perfectly normal. After checking in, Jennifer entered room 2805. The room overlooked much of Oslo's skyline. Inside, everything appeared exactly as expected. A comfortable bed, a desk, large windows, a television. Nothing unusual. At least, not yet. Over the next several days, hotel staff noticed very little about her. She rarely interacted with anyone. She ordered only small amounts of food. She spent most of her time inside the room. Housekeeping tried to clean the room several times. Each time they were politely refused. That alone wasn't especially suspicious. Many business travelers preferred privacy. But when detectives reconstructed her final days years later, those ordinary decisions suddenly became very important. Because they realized something disturbing. Almost nobody had actually seen Jennifer after check-in. Only brief encounters, only passing moments. Almost as if she were intentionally avoiding becoming memorable. Investigators later examined the registration form more carefully. At first glance, it looked complete. But every line raised new questions. The handwriting appeared confident. There were no obvious mistakes. Yet the Belgian address was false. The postal code didn't match. The street information was inconsistent. The phone number couldn't be verified. Even stranger, hotel staff never requested proper identification before handing over the room key. Today, that sounds unbelievable. But in 1995, hotel procedures across Europe were not always as strict as they are now. That single decision would haunt investigators for decades. Because from that moment onward, Jennifer Fairgate officially existed only on a piece of paper that she had filled out herself. Nothing else confirmed her identity. No passport, no driver's license, no travel documents, nothing. Imagine trying to solve a homicide, or even verify a suicide, when you cannot even identify the victim. That was the impossible situation facing Norwegian investigators, and the deeper they looked, the stranger everything became. During her stay, another curious detail emerged. The reservation listed two guests, Jennifer Fairgate and Lois Fairgate. Hotel employees expected to see both people, but only one person ever appeared. No one remembered the second guest entering the hotel. No one remembered him leaving. No one saw him inside the lobby. No one saw him in the elevators. No one saw him in the restaurant. It was as though Lois Fairgate had never existed. Was he simply delayed? Did he cancel? Or had his name been written down for an entirely different reason? Police would later spend years trying to answer that question. They never found him, or anyone connected to that identity. If Jennifer had simply disappeared after leaving Oslo Plaza, the case would already have been unusual. But what happened next transformed it into one of Europe's greatest unsolved mysteries. Because inside room 2805, something was already beginning to unfold. Something that would leave behind more questions than answers. And before investigators discovered the truth, a single gunshot would echo through one of Norway's most famous hotels. The morning of June 2, 1995 began like any other day inside Oslo Plaza. Business travelers checked out, new guests arrived, hotel staff prepared rooms. The lobby buzzed with quiet conversations, rolling suitcases, and the routine rhythm of a luxury hotel. Room 2805 remained occupied, but something about that room was beginning to concern the staff. Jennifer had now been staying there for several days. She still hadn't completed the normal payment process. Whenever hotel employees contacted her, she responded politely, always giving the impression that everything would soon be sorted out. There was never an argument, never any panic, never any sign that she intended to leave without paying. She simply asked for a little more time. It sounded reasonable. So the hotel waited. No one realized they were watching the final hours of a woman whose real name might never be known. As detectives later reconstructed her movements, they noticed a strange pattern. Jennifer hardly used the hotel the way most guests did. She wasn't seen enjoying the restaurant. She wasn't spending time in the bar. She wasn't shopping nearby. She wasn't meeting visitors in the lobby. For someone supposedly traveling with another person, she appeared remarkably alone. It was as if the outside world barely existed. Most of her time seemed to be spent inside room 2805. And because she repeatedly refused housekeeping, very few people ever crossed the doorway. That meant almost nobody could describe what the room looked like during those final days. Then investigators uncovered another detail. According to hotel records, Jennifer had requested that staff stay away from the room unless absolutely necessary. Again, that wasn't unusual by itself. Many guests valued privacy. But in hindsight, every small decision took on new meaning. What was she doing inside that room for so many hours? Was she simply resting, working, waiting for someone? Or hiding from someone? No one knew. And no surveillance camera inside the room could answer those questions. By the afternoon of June 3rd, the hotel's patience was running out. The outstanding bill still hadn't been settled. Staff decided they needed to speak with Jennifer directly. A security employee made his way to the 28th floor. Everything seemed normal. The hallway was quiet. The carpet softened every footstep. Nothing suggested that anything extraordinary was about to happen. He stopped outside room 2805, knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Still silence. Then, according to later reports, he heard movement from inside. Someone was there. He identified himself and explained that the hotel needed to discuss the payment. A woman's voice answered from inside the room. Calm. Short. Nothing sounded unusual. The employee stepped away, expecting the matter to be resolved shortly. At that moment, no one imagined those would be among the last words Jennifer Fairgate would ever speak. Time passed. The payment never came. Concern began to grow. The hotel decided to try again. Another employee returned to the room. Once more, there was no meaningful response. Then, a single sound shattered the silence. A gunshot. One loud report echoed through the hallway. For a brief moment, nobody moved. People looked toward room 2805. Then panic spread. Hotel security rushed back. Police were called immediately. But even then, events did not unfold as quickly as many people assume. There were precious minutes between the gunshot and the moment authorities finally entered the room. Minutes that would later become the subject of endless debate. Could anyone else have left? Could evidence have changed? Or was Jennifer truly alone the entire time? Those questions still divide investigators today. When officers finally entered room 2805, they found the woman lying inside. She had suffered a fatal gunshot wound. A pistol was found near her. At first glance, it appeared straightforward. A locked hotel room, a deceased woman, a firearm. The simplest explanation seemed obvious: suicide. But experienced investigators know that first impressions can be dangerously misleading. As the forensic team began documenting the room, they noticed details that didn't fit neatly into that simple conclusion. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that immediately proved a crime had occurred. Just small inconsistencies, the kind that become more troubling the longer you look at them. The room itself appeared unusually orderly. There were no signs of a violent struggle. Furniture remained in place. Nothing suggested a desperate fight. Yet there was another mystery. For someone staying in an expensive hotel for several days, Jennifer possessed surprisingly few personal belongings. There were clothes, a few everyday items, but many things investigators would normally expect were simply missing. Where was her passport? Where was her wallet? Where were her travel documents? How had she checked into an international hotel without leaving behind a reliable way to identify herself? The questions began piling up faster than the answers. Then detectives examined her clothing more carefully. What they discovered transformed an unusual death investigation into an international mystery. Nearly every clothing label had been carefully removed. Brand names were gone. Manufacturer tags were missing. Even the labels that might reveal where the garments had been purchased had been cut away with precision. This wasn't ordinary wear and tear. Someone had deliberately erased those identifiers. But why? Was Jennifer trying to hide where she came from? Or had someone else prepared those clothes long before she ever arrived in Oslo? Either possibility was deeply unsettling, because ordinary travelers rarely spend hours removing every identifying label from their wardrobe. Professional investigators immediately recognized that detail as highly unusual, and it wouldn't be the last. The more detectives searched room 2805, the more they realized they weren't simply investigating the death of an unidentified woman. They were investigating the disappearance of an entire identity. Someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to ensure that Jennifer Fairgate could not easily be traced. The only question was, who? And in the next phase of the investigation, police would uncover something even stranger. Something hidden not in the room, but inside the timeline of Jennifer's final days. By the evening of June 3rd, investigators faced a problem unlike any they had encountered before. Normally, identifying a victim is the easiest part of a homicide investigation. You check a passport, a driver's license, credit cards, a phone, hotel records, family contacts. Within hours, someone usually knows who the victim is. But in room 2805, none of those things existed. There was no passport, no identification card, no driver's license, no bank cards, no personal letters, no address book, no photographs of family or friends, not even a single document that revealed who Jennifer Fairgate really was. It was as though someone had erased an entire human life. Police immediately began checking the information she had written on the hotel registration form. The Belgian address. It didn't exist. The postal code was incorrect. The street information didn't match any official records. Next came the telephone number. It also led nowhere. Investigators contacted Belgian authorities. No woman matching Jennifer Fairgate's description could be connected to that identity. The name itself appeared to be fabricated. Then detectives searched for the second guest listed on the reservation. Lois Fairgate. Nothing. No passport, no travel records, no hotel sightings, no witness who remembered seeing him. It was as if both names had been invented moments before they were written on the registration card. At that point, investigators realized they weren't looking for one missing identity. They were looking for two people who might never have existed. The case quickly expanded beyond Norway. Police circulated photographs of the woman across Europe. Interpol became involved. Fingerprint databases were checked. Nothing. Dental records were compared. Nothing. Missing person reports from multiple countries were reviewed. Again, nothing. This was almost impossible to believe. Someone had died in one of Scandinavia's busiest capitals. Her photograph appeared in newspapers. Television stations reported the story, yet nobody called to say, "That's my daughter. That's my sister. I know her." Weeks passed, then months. Still nothing. As forensic specialists examined her belongings more carefully, another disturbing pattern emerged. The clothing itself was expensive, well-tailored, high quality. She clearly hadn't dressed cheaply. Yet every identifying label had been removed with remarkable precision. Not just one, not just two, almost every garment. Investigators considered whether the labels had simply become worn over time. That theory quickly fell apart. The cuts were too clean, too deliberate. Someone had intentionally made sure those clothes could not easily be traced to a manufacturer or retailer. For experienced investigators, that raised an uncomfortable possibility. This wasn't random behavior. It suggested planning, careful planning. Then detectives turned their attention to the suitcase. Surely they thought the luggage would finally provide answers. Instead, it created even more questions. There were clothes, basic toiletries, a few personal items, but once again, everything that could easily identify the owner seemed to be absent. No travel tickets, no receipts, no notebook, no family photographs, no medication linked to a doctor's prescription, nothing that revealed where she had been before arriving in Oslo. It was almost as though someone had packed for anonymity, not for travel. Police also began interviewing hotel employees in greater detail. Did anyone visit room 2805? Did Jennifer receive phone calls? Did anyone meet her in the lobby? The answers were frustratingly vague. Most employees remembered almost nothing. She had blended into the background perfectly. Quiet, polite, forgettable. It was the ideal profile for someone who didn't want to be remembered. Investigators reconstructed her known movements inside the hotel. They discovered that there were surprisingly few confirmed sightings after check-in. Hours of her stay remained completely unaccounted for. Where had she been? Inside the room? Somewhere else? Meeting someone outside the hotel? Nobody could say for certain. The surveillance systems of 1995 were far less comprehensive than today's. Many areas weren't continuously recorded. Important moments may never have been captured at all. That gap in the timeline became one of the biggest obstacles in the investigation, because every missing hour created another opportunity for something unseen to have happened. As the mystery deepened, theories began to spread. Some investigators quietly wondered whether Jennifer had been involved in intelligence work. The Cold War had officially ended only a few years earlier. Europe was still adjusting to a rapidly changing political landscape. Oslo regularly hosted diplomats, international meetings, and business executives. Could Jennifer have been using a false identity as part of an intelligence operation? There was no direct evidence to prove it. But the absence of normal identification, the carefully altered clothing, and the false registration details were unusual enough that the possibility continued to circulate for years. Others believed the explanation was much simpler. Perhaps she had been fleeing an abusive relationship. Perhaps she wanted to disappear voluntarily. Perhaps she suffered from severe psychological distress. Those theories were also possible. Yet each one left important questions unanswered. If she wanted to vanish, why choose one of the most prestigious hotels in Norway? Why leave behind such a carefully constructed false identity? And why did no one ever come looking for her? Then came another unsettling discovery. Forensic investigators closely examined the weapon found in room 2805. At first, it seemed to support the official conclusion, but as specialists reviewed the physical evidence, certain aspects of the scene sparked debate among independent experts over the years. Some questioned whether every detail aligned perfectly with a straightforward suicide scenario. Others argued that the available evidence still supported the original investigation. The case became one of interpretation rather than certainty, and that uncertainty kept the mystery alive. Because once doubt enters a case, every unanswered question becomes twice as important. Years passed. The file never truly closed. Journalists returned to it. Documentary filmmakers reopened old questions. Independent investigators reviewed forgotten evidence. Every few years, someone believed they were finally about to discover Jennifer Fairgate's real identity. Every time, the trail ended in another dead end. But in 2017, modern forensic science offered investigators one more chance. A chance to answer the question that had haunted Europe for more than 2 decades. Who was the woman in room 2805? And the results would only make the mystery even more extraordinary. For more than 20 years, the case remained frozen. The evidence sat inside police archives. The photographs gathered dust. The registration card still carried the name Jennifer Fairgate, a name investigators no longer believed was real. Most cold cases slowly disappear from public attention. This one refused to. Every few years, a journalist, a detective, or an independent researcher would return to room 2805, convinced that one overlooked detail could finally solve everything. Then, in 2017, something changed. Modern forensic technology had advanced dramatically since 1995. Investigators believed methods that didn't exist during the original investigation might finally reveal who Jennifer really was. Her remains were exhumed, new DNA samples were collected, advanced forensic examinations were performed. Scientists also carried out isotope analysis, a technique that can sometimes estimate where a person spent much of their childhood by studying chemical signatures preserved in teeth and bones. For the first time in decades, there was genuine hope. Perhaps science could succeed where traditional police work had failed. The new examinations produced valuable information. Researchers were able to learn more about her physical characteristics and narrow some possibilities about where she may have lived during different periods of her life. But they did not produce the one answer everyone wanted. No confirmed identity, no family, no country that could say with certainty, she belonged here. The mystery survived another generation. As the years passed, several competing theories emerged. The first theory was the official one. Jennifer Fairgate died by suicide. Supporters of this conclusion point to the locked hotel room, the firearm found at the scene, and the absence of direct evidence showing another person inside the room when she died. From that perspective, the tragedy may have involved someone who deliberately concealed her identity before ending her life. It is the simplest explanation. But simple does not always mean complete. The second theory suggests she was connected to intelligence work. During the 1990s, Europe was changing rapidly. Governments were adapting to a new political reality after the Cold War. False identities, anonymous travel, and covert operations were not unheard of. Those who support this theory often point to the false registration details, the missing identification, and the carefully altered clothing. Still, there is no publicly available evidence proving she worked for any intelligence service. It remains only a theory. Another possibility is that she was trying to disappear from her previous life. Perhaps she was escaping violence, perhaps organized crime, perhaps crushing debt, perhaps someone she feared. If that were true, using a false identity would make sense. Removing clothing labels might reduce the chances of being traced. Avoiding contact with other guests would also fit that pattern. But even then, one question remains. Why has no family member ever recognized her? Then there is the theory that continues to attract the most debate. What if Jennifer Fairgate did not arrive at Oslo Plaza alone? The hotel registration listed 2 guests, Jennifer Fairgate and Lois Fairgate. Only one was ever clearly accounted for. Who was Lois? A husband? A partner? A handler? A completely fictional name? Or someone who left before police arrived? Investigators searched for years. No confirmed trace of that identity was ever found. Whether Lois was a real person or simply part of the false identity has never been conclusively established. One of the most unsettling aspects of this case is not how much investigators discovered. It's how much they never found. No verified identity, no confirmed relatives, no childhood photographs, no school records, no employer, no official history. Every person leaves a trail. Medical records, tax documents, friends, neighbors, co-workers, old photographs. Jennifer Fairgate seemed to leave almost none. It was as though her life began the moment she stepped into Oslo Plaza and ended inside room 2805. Today, the mystery continues to fascinate investigators around the world, not because of one dramatic piece of evidence, but because of dozens of small unanswered questions. Each one seems insignificant on its own. Together, they form one of Europe's most enduring unidentified person cases. Perhaps one future DNA comparison will finally identify her. Perhaps someone watching an old documentary will recognize her face. Perhaps a forgotten file somewhere in Europe still contains the missing piece. Or perhaps the truth disappeared with the woman who signed a false name on a hotel registration card in May 1995. Every unsolved case leaves behind a question, but very few leave behind an entire person with no verified past. Jennifer Fairgate entered one of Norway's most famous hotels. She checked into room 2805. She spoke politely with staff. She lived there for only a few days. Then she died. More than 3 decades have passed. Technology has improved. Investigators have returned to the evidence. Journalists have examined every detail. Yet one basic question remains unanswered. Not how she died, not why she was there, but something even more fundamental. Who was she? And maybe that's what makes this case so unforgettable. Because sometimes, the greatest mystery isn't how a story ends. It's whether we ever knew who the main character really was in the first place. If someone can live, travel across Europe, die in a luxury hotel, and still leave behind no confirmed identity, how many other people like Jennifer Fairgate have passed through history without anyone ever knowing their real names?